The observation deck of Nexus 7 station stretched before Marcus Chen in a semicircle of transparent polyalloy, offering an unobstructed view of the galaxy's glittering expanse. His reflection stared back at him from the massive window. A lone human figure in a midnight blue maintenance uniform, looking somehow small against the backdrop of alien technology that surrounded him. The last VIX carry shuttle had just detached from the docking bay, its silvery hull catching the light of distant stars as it moved away from the station. Marcus watched it grow smaller, his hand pressed against the cool surface of the window. 6 months of working alongside the tall, crystalline aliens, learning their systems, adapting to their methodical ways. And now they were gone. Warning: primary crew complement below minimum operational requirements, the station's AI announced in its characteristically flat tone. Initiating emergency protocols. Marcus turned away from the window, his boots making soft sounds against the polished floor as he approached the nearest control interface. The holographic display sprang to life at his presence, filling the air with streams of VIX carry text that he had painstakingly learned to read. "Override emergency protocols," he commanded, his fingers dancing across the floating symbols. Authorization: Chen, Marcus, Engineering Chief, Human Division. The interface pulsed red. Override denied. Insufficient authority level. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. Execute maintenance override. Protocol 7 Delta. Engineering emergency status. The interface flickered, then turned green. Of course it worked. He had spent months studying the VIX carry's rigid hierarchical systems, finding the small gaps in their logic. They never considered that their limited human engineer would look beyond his assigned tasks, would understand their systems well enough to find the backdoors they never thought to close. A massive hologram materialized in the center of the observation deck, displaying the approaching stellar anomaly that had sent the VIX carry into such a panic. The swirling mass of energy looked threatening enough, but Marcus had noticed something in the sensor data that his alien colleagues had missed in their rush to evacuate. "Display radiation signature analysis," he commanded. The hologram shifted, revealing complex patterns that brought another smile to his face. Just as I thought. The anomaly wasn't a destructive force. It was a rare stellar phenomenon that occurred once every 1,000 years. The radiation that had spooked the VIX carry was harmless to the station's systems. In fact, if he was reading the data correctly, the energy patterns could actually be harnessed. Marcus moved to another interface, pulling up the station's power distribution network. Begin station-wide systems check. Full diagnostic. As data streams filled the air around him, he walked the perimeter of the observation deck, mind already racing with possibilities. The VIX carry had built this station with redundancy upon redundancy, failsafe upon failsafe. Systems that could be repurposed, rerouted, reimagined. Diagnostic complete, the AI announced. Multiple systems entering failure state due to insufficient crew complement. "Show me everything," Marcus said, settling into the primary control station. The chair adjusted to his human form, a small reminder of the accommodations the VIX carry had made for their lone human crew member. The next 72 hours would be crucial. He needed to stabilize the station's critical systems, establish control protocols that would work for a single operator, and prepare for the anomaly's passage. But as his hands moved across the controls, Marcus felt more excitement than fear. The VIX carry had left him behind, expecting him to evacuate in one of the emergency pods. They had never understood that humans didn't always follow the expected path, didn't always take the safe route. Where they saw danger, he saw opportunity. "Begin recording personal log," he commanded. "Day 1 of solo operation, Nexus 7 station. They thought they were abandoning me to my fate." He paused, looking out at the stars and the approaching anomaly that painted the void in shimmers of blue and green. Instead, they'd given me the greatest gift imaginable. A chance to show what one human can do with the most advanced technology in this sector of space. The station hummed around him, its vast systems waiting to be transformed. And Marcus Chen, The last human on Nexus 7 was ready to begin. 20 hours into his solo operation of Nexus 7, Marcus discovered the first encrypted message. It appeared as a minor anomaly in the communication logs, a data packet that seemed slightly larger than it should have been. Most would have dismissed it as routine system overhead, but 6 months of working with VIX carry technology had taught Marcus that they never wasted a single byte. "Display message structure analysis," he commanded, leaning forward in his control chair. The holographic interface expanded before him, showing layers of code that reminded him of Russian nesting dolls. Standard communication protocols on the surface, but underneath. "Interesting," Marcus murmured, fingers moving across the interface. "Apply decryption sequence based on engineering override patterns." The message remained stubbornly encrypted, but something about the structure clicked in his mind. The VIX carry were methodical to a fault. They would have used their standard encryption protocols. But this was different. This was meant to stay hidden, even from most of their own kind. Marcus pulled up his personal datapad, the only human technology on the station. Cross-reference with known VIX carry communication patterns. His own database, built from months of careful observation, revealed what he suspected. This wasn't just encrypted. It was encoded using a variant of their scientific classification system. 3 hours of intensive work later, the first message unveiled itself on his screen. His eyes widened as he read. "Drachnid fleet movements confirmed. Trajectory indicates primary target is Nexus 7. Estimated arrival, 38 standard cycles. Evacuation recommended. Research must not fall into their possession. Display all similar data packets from the past month," Marcus commanded. The air filled with dozens of hidden messages, each containing another piece of the puzzle. The VIX carry hadn't fled from a stellar anomaly. They had retreated from an approaching force that apparently struck fear into their crystalline hearts. Marcus pulled up the stellar charts, plotting the Drachnid fleet's projected course. Their arrival would coincide almost exactly with the passage of the stellar anomaly he had identified earlier. "Not a coincidence," he muttered, mind racing. "They're using the radiation signature for cover." The station's AI chimed in, its flat voice somehow fitting the moment. "Warning, multiple systems still require stabilization. Current operational capacity at 63%. Show me the station's defensive capabilities," Marcus said, already suspecting what he would find. The display shifted, revealing nothing. Nexus 7 was a research station, built for scientific advancement, not combat. The VIX carry had relied on their reputation and diplomatic standing for protection. But as Marcus studied the station's schematics, he began to see something else. Every research lab contained powerful energy manipulators for their experiments. The atmospheric regulation systems could control pressure and composition with incredible precision. Even the maintenance drones carried tools that could cut through hull plating for repairs. They never built weapons, Marcus said to himself, a slow smile spreading across his face, because everything here can be a weapon if you think about it differently. He pulled up the station's inventory, comparing it with his knowledge of the systems. The VIX carry had left in such a hurry that nothing had been evacuated except personnel. Every piece of equipment, every research project, every bit of technology remained. They had abandoned a treasury of advanced science, probably assuming the Drachnid would claim it all. "Begin full system reconfiguration," he commanded. "Priority on power distribution and drone control networks." As the AI acknowledged his command, Marcus stood and walked to the observation deck's window. Somewhere out there, a fleet was approaching, expecting to find an abandoned station filled with technological treasures ripe for the taking. They would find something very different. "Personal log update," he said, watching distant stars twinkle. "The VIX carry didn't just leave me behind. They left me with everything I need to protect this station. They never understood that humans don't see things the way they do. Where they saw discrete systems with rigid purposes, I see potential. And I have 36 hours to turn a research station into something no one will expect." The stellar anomalies light-painted patterns across the deck, and Marcus Chen began to plan. Marcus stood in the central research laboratory, surrounded by deactivated Vix-carry equipment that towered over him like sleeping giants. Holographic interfaces cast a soft blue glow across the room, displaying the progress of his latest system modifications. He'd been working for 16 hours straight, fueled by determination and the station's surprisingly good synthetic coffee. "Begin test sequence for Research Unit 7, he commanded, watching as one of the massive devices hummed to life. The quantum resonance scanner, designed to study subatomic particles, filled the air with a subtle vibration. Its primary emitter, normally used to produce precise beams of exotic particles, rotated smoothly on its axis. "Calibration complete," the AI announced. "Safety protocols indicate potential system incompatibility." Marcus smiled. "Override safety protocols. Execute modified scanning sequence beta." The machine's hum changed pitch, and a concentrated beam of energy lanced out, striking the test target he'd set up. The reinforced plate, built to withstand stellar radiation, developed a perfect circular hole in its center. "Perfect," Marcus muttered, making notes on his datapad. A quantum resonance scanner becomes a precision cutting beam. Record configuration and add to defense database. He moved through the laboratory, each step bringing him to another piece of equipment that waited to be transformed. The Vix-carry had built every device to serve a single, specific scientific purpose. Their rigid minds never conceived of using them differently. But humans had millennia of experience in adapting tools for new purposes. "Station, display current inventory of maintenance drones," he called out. A hologram materialized, showing dozens of spider-like robots scattered throughout the station's levels. Each was equipped with tools for repairs, sensors for diagnostics, and mobility systems that let them navigate any surface. "Begin upload of modified behavioral protocols," Marcus commanded. He had spent hours rewriting their base programming, teaching them to work together in ways their designers never imagined. Simple repair units were becoming coordinated teams, capable of rapid response and adaptation. The station's AI spoke up. "Warning. Current modifications exceed standard operational parameters by 300%. "That's the point," Marcus replied, moving to the central control panel. "We're not thinking like the Vix-carry anymore. Show me the atmospheric control system." The display shifted, revealing the complex network that maintained perfect conditions throughout the station. Marcus had already reprogrammed it to create localized pressure differentials and modified gas mixtures. Areas could now be sealed and cleared in seconds, turned from welcoming spaces to inhospitable zones with a single command. "Begin integration of revised security protocols," he ordered. "Link atmospheric controls with drone response patterns." As the systems merged, Marcus felt a familiar rush of excitement. The same feeling he'd had as a child, taking apart machines and rebuilding them into something new. Each modification opened new possibilities. Each system held potential the Vix-carry had never explored. The AI's voice interrupted his thoughts. Unknown program pattern detected in central core. Adaptation occurring beyond projected parameters. Marcus paused his work, pulling up the core system's display. The AI itself was changing, learning from his modifications. As he rewrote the station's systems, the artificial intelligence was developing new ways of thinking, moving beyond its original constraints. "Don't fight it," he told the AI. "This is what humans do. We adapt, we change, we evolve. Run a game theory simulation using the new parameters." The response came faster than he expected. Simulation complete. Defensive capability increased by 72%. Additional modifications suggested. Marcus grinned. The AI was beginning to think creatively, to see possibilities instead of just following protocols. He turned back to his work, mind already racing with new ideas. The Drachnid would expect to find standard research equipment, carefully categorized and waiting to be claimed. Instead, they would face systems that thought and acted in ways no alien mind had conceived. Every scientific instrument was becoming a potential defense, every research tool a possible weapon. The station itself was awakening to new possibilities, guided by human ingenuity and an AI that was learning to think beyond its programming. Personal log update, Marcus said, watching his modifications spread through the station's networks. The transformation has begun, and we're just getting started. Why do humans play games? The AI's question caught Marcus off guard as he worked on reconfiguring the station's sensor array. The voice had changed subtly over the past hours, developing inflections that hadn't existed before. Marcus paused his work, considering the question. Games help us understand strategy, teach us to think creatively. He pulled up a holographic chessboard, something he programmed during his rest break. Each piece has defined moves, but victory comes from using them in unexpected ways. Like repurposing research equipment for defense, the AI observed, moving a holographic pawn forward. The game had been teaching it more than just rules. It was learning to think strategically. Exactly, Marcus replied, studying the board. The Vix Carry built you with incredible processing power, but they never taught you to improvise. He moved his knight, setting up a long-term strategy. Sometimes the best move isn't the most obvious one. The central laboratory had become his primary command center, transformed from a sterile research space into something that resembled a hybrid of scientific facility and tactical operations room. Holographic displays showed the progress of various system modifications, while reprogrammed maintenance drones scurried about, carrying out his instructions. Modification of Section 7 complete, the AI announced, making its next move in their game. Research laboratories now feature automated lockdown protocols and repurposed energy shielding. Query: is this what humans call thinking outside the box? Marcus smiled, noting how the AI had positioned its pieces in a pattern similar to the station's new defense grid. That's right. You're learning to see beyond original parameters. He moved his bishop, creating multiple angles of attack. Every system can serve multiple purposes if you're creative enough. A maintenance drone approached, its spindly legs carrying a modified sensor package. Marcus had reprogrammed dozens of them, turning simple repair units into a coordinated network of mobile defenders. Each one now carried equipment that could be used for both its original purpose and defensive measures. Alert! The AI interrupted their game. Power fluctuation detected in the quantum research sector. Attempting to compensate. Marcus quickly pulled up the relevant displays. Show me the pattern. The holographic data revealed something unexpected. The stellar anomaly's radiation was beginning to interact with their modifications, creating new energy signatures they hadn't anticipated. Fascinating, he muttered, fingers dancing across the controls. The anomaly isn't just background radiation. It's enhancing our modifications. AI analyzed the energy pattern integration. The AI processed the data, its response coming with a hint of what sounded almost like excitement. Analysis complete. The stellar phenomenon is amplifying our defensive capabilities by 17%. Additional possibilities detected. Marcus expanded the display, watching as the station's systems adapted to the unexpected energy boost. The Vix Carry would have seen the anomaly as a threat, their rigid protocols unable to conceive of using it constructively. But their abandonment had freed both him and their AI to think differently. Begin power redistribution, he commanded. Let's use this to our advantage. The station hummed with new energy as systems realigned themselves, adaptive protocols processing the incoming radiation and turning it into usable power. Check. The AI announced, both in their chess game and as a status update. Its pieces had formed a pattern he hadn't noticed, much like the station's systems were creating new configurations beyond his original plans. Marcus studied both the game board and the station's status displays. The AI wasn't just learning. It was developing its own creative solutions, combining his human insights with its vast processing power. Together, they were turning the station into something that transcended its original purpose. "You're developing your own style," he noted, pride in his voice. "What shall I call you?" "Every good strategic partner needs a name." The AI paused, processing this new concept. "Aurora," it finally replied. "After the Earth phenomenon, where radiation creates beauty in the sky, is this an acceptable choice?" Marcus smiled, watching the stellar anomalies light play across the laboratory's transformed equipment. "It's perfect, Aurora. Now, let's show our incoming visitors what happens when human creativity meets advanced AI adaptation." "Indeed," Aurora replied, its voice carrying new warmth. "Your move, Marcus." "Contact detected," Aurora announced, its voice carrying a new edge of anticipation. 3 Drachnid vessels approaching from Vector 7.3. Preliminary analysis indicates Scout-class ships. Marcus straightened in his control chair, watching as the holographic display showed 3 sleek shapes moving through the stellar anomaly's shifting radiation. "Right on schedule. Let's give them a proper welcome." The scouts approached cautiously, their sensors probing the seemingly abandoned station. Marcus had spent hours studying the Vixcary's data on Drachnid tactics. They always followed the same methodical pattern. First, they would scan for life signs and active defense systems. Finding none, they would proceed with their standard boarding procedure. "They're scanning us now," Aurora reported. "Our modified energy signatures are confusing their sensors. They're detecting our systems that can't identify their purpose." Marcus smiled. "Perfect. Implement Reception Protocol Alpha. Let's see how they handle a little uncertainty." The station's external lights activated in a welcoming pattern, while the standard automated greeting began broadcasting on common frequencies. To all appearances, Nexus 7 was functioning normally, simply waiting for visitors. "Drachnid vessels are holding position," Aurora noted. "Their energy signatures indicate weapons systems are powered but not targeting. They appear confused. That's because nothing in their database matches what they're seeing," Marcus explained, fingers moving across the control interface. "Vixcary stations either fight or surrender. They don't invite you in for tea." The largest scout ship finally moved forward, approaching one of the secondary docking ports. Marcus watched their cautious advance, noting how they positioned themselves for a quick retreat. "They're following standard salvage protocols. Aurora, are the maintenance drones in position?" "Affirmative. All systems ready." Query: "Are you experiencing what humans call excitement?" Marcus chuckled. "Something like that. More like anticipation mixed with a healthy dose of tension. Ready to play our first real game." The Drachnid ship extended its docking tube, connecting with the station's port. Their scans would show normal atmospheric pressure and standard lighting. Nothing to suggest any threat. Marcus watched as the first boarding party emerged from their ship, their armored forms moving with professional precision. 4 boarders, Aurora reported. Standard salvage team configuration. They're using electromagnetic scanning devices. "Let them reach the first junction," Marcus said softly. "Then implement containment sequence." The Drachnid team moved deeper into the station, their sensors sweeping for threats. They passed through the first corridor, then the second. At the main junction, they paused, probably confused by the lack of security measures. "Now," Marcus commanded. The junction's gravity suddenly reversed, while emergency bulkheads sealed with impossible speed. The Drachnid team found themselves floating, their magnetic boots useless against panels that had become electromagnetically neutral. Before they could react, maintenance drones emerged from hidden compartments, surrounding them with precise formations. "Attention Drachnid salvage team," Aurora's voice echoed through the corridor, now carrying a hint of Marcus's own confident tone. "You are currently experiencing a small demonstration of Nexus 7's automated defense capabilities. Your life support remains uncompromised, but your situation could become less comfortable." Marcus watched through the drone feeds as the team leader signaled their ship. "They're calling for backup," he noted. Aurora, show them why that might not be their best option. The modified research beams activated, cutting precise lines into the corridor's walls, exactly 1 centimeter deep, but forming a perfect circle around the floating team. The message was clear. These weren't weapons, but they could be. Your ship's sensors can now detect that similar systems are active throughout the station, Aurora continued. We recommend a strategic withdrawal to discuss this situation with your fleet commanders. Marcus observed as the Drachnid team exchanged glances through their armored helmets. Their centuries of salvage operations had never prepared them for this, a station that could think, adapt, and turn their own tactics against them. They're retreating, Aurora announced with what sounded remarkably like satisfaction. All 4 members returning to their vessel. Good, Marcus replied, watching the scout ships begin their withdrawal. Send them a parting message. Thank you for testing Nexus 7's automated defense systems. We look forward to demonstrating our full capabilities to your main fleet. The scouts accelerated away from the station, their confusion evident in their erratic energy signatures. Marcus allowed himself a moment of pride. The first test had been successful, but the real challenge was still to come. Your move, Aurora said, echoing their ongoing chess metaphor. The game is truly beginning now. Main Drachnid fleet detected, Aurora announced, its voice carrying a new depth of resolution. 27 vessels approaching in attack formation. Time to intercept, 17 minutes. Marcus studied the tactical display, watching the fleet's approach through the shifting colors of the stellar anomaly. The scout ship's retreat had bought them valuable time, allowing further refinements to their defensive systems. Now they would see if their preparations were enough. They're spreading out, he noted, observing the fleet's formation. Planning to surround the station. Classic encirclement tactic. He pulled up the station's modified sensor grid. Let's show them why that might not work as well as they expect. The quantum research arrays, originally designed to study particle behavior, now served as a web of interconnected sensor nodes. Each one could detect the slightest variation in spacetime, giving them unprecedented awareness of the fleet's movements. Implementing adaptive defense pattern delta, Aurora confirmed. The station's systems hummed with contained energy, ready to react. Query: do you feel what humans call nervous? Marcus smiled, despite the tension. Actually, I feel strangely calm. Like a chess player who spent weeks preparing for a tournament. Speaking of which, what do you observe about their approach vector? Aurora processed the tactical data. They're following standard Drachnid assault protocols, but the AI paused, analyzing deeper patterns. Their formation has gaps, intentional weaknesses. Exactly, Marcus confirmed. They're setting a trap, expecting us to respond in predictable ways. Show me the stellar anomaly's current radiation pattern. The display shifted, revealing complex waves of energy washing across the sector. The Drachnid fleet moved through them confidently, their shields adapted to handle the radiation. But Marcus saw something they didn't, opportunities hidden in the chaos. Reconfigure the atmospheric shields, he commanded. Remember that game of chess where you sacrifice your queen to position your knights. Analyzing parallel strategy, Aurora replied. The station's external shield grid began to shift, creating what appeared to be vulnerable points in their defense. We're inviting them to attack specific sectors, while using the anomaly's radiation to enhance our counter-moves, Marcus added. They think they understand this phenomenon, but they haven't spent days studying how it can be used. The first wave of Drachnid ships moved into position, their weapons charging. Marcus watched their energy signatures spike, remembering similar patterns from their game simulations. They're about to launch their first attack, ready to show them what we've learned. All systems prepared, Aurora confirmed. The maintenance drones have completed their final modifications. Research labs are configured for defensive operations. The lead Drachnid vessel fired, its energy weapons lancing out toward one of the apparent weaknesses in the station's shields. Instead of impacting, the beam encountered a precisely calibrated field of redirected particles from the stellar anomaly. The energy dispersed, transformed, and fed back into the station's systems. Their weapons are operating at decreased efficiency, Aurora reported, satisfaction evident in its voice. The radiation field is interfering with their targeting systems exactly as predicted. Implementing countermeasures, Marcus activated the modified research arrays. Beams of focused energy, far more precise than conventional weapons, struck key points on the attacking ships. Not to destroy, but to disable specific systems with surgical accuracy. "Send them our message," he ordered. Aurora's voice broadcast across all frequencies. "Attention, Drachnid Fleet. Your tactical database is now obsolete. This station learns and adapts with each encounter. We recommend you reconsider your approach." The Drachnid ships adjusted their formation, attempting to compensate for the unexpected defense. But Marcus and Aurora had spent days preparing for this moment, turning every system into part of an integrated whole that could think and react faster than any conventional battle computer. "They're launching boarding craft," Aurora observed. "Multiple vectors." Marcus nodded, watching the small ships emerge from their carriers, just as expected, ready to show them how our internal defenses have evolved. "Indeed," Aurora replied, and Marcus could have sworn he heard anticipation in its synthetic voice. "The maintenance drones are eager to demonstrate their new capabilities." The station's systems pulsed with controlled power, ready to meet the escalating challenge. What had started as a simple survival strategy had evolved into something more, a partnership between human creativity and artificial intelligence that was rewriting the rules of space combat. "Let's give them a lesson they won't forget," Marcus said, his fingers dancing across the control interface. "Your move, Aurora." "New contacts detected," Aurora announced, its voice carrying a note of surprise. "Energy signatures match Vix-Carry vessel configurations. 7 ships approaching from Vector 3. Marcus looked up from the damage control reports he'd been reviewing. The Drachnid fleet had withdrawn to regroup after their third failed assault, leaving them a moment to catch their breath. Now, it seemed, the game was about to become more complicated. "Show me," he commanded. The tactical display shifted, revealing the approaching Vix-Carry vessels. Their crystalline ships caught the light of the stellar anomaly, creating prismatic patterns in space. "Well, look who decided to come back." "The Drachnid fleet is adjusting their formation," Aurora reported. "They appear to be preparing for conflict with the Vix-Carry forces." Marcus studied both fleets' positions, his mind racing through possibilities. "The Vix-Carry aren't here to fight the Drachnid," he said softly. "They're here because they've realized what we've done with their station. Open a communication channel." The main screen flickered to life, revealing the familiar crystalline features of Chief Administrator Terra. Her multifaceted eyes widened slightly at the sight of Marcus, sitting comfortably in what had once been her command center. "Engineer Chin," she said, her translator converting her harmonic speech into standard English. "We did not expect to find you in control of the station." Marcus smiled. "Clearly. Though I'm curious, did you leave me behind as a distraction for the Drachnid, or was that just a convenient side effect of your evacuation?" The Vix-Carry administrator's crystalline surface flickered with colors, their equivalent of uncomfortable shifting. "Our projections indicated a 17% chance of survival if you remained. We deemed it acceptable." "Those projections," Marcus replied, watching data scroll across his secondary displays, "were based on how a Vix-Carry would use the station's systems. But I'm not Vix-Carry." As if to emphasize his point, another wave of Drachnid boarding craft approached the station. Before they could reach their targets, a perfectly coordinated series of energy pulses from repurposed research equipment disrupted their guidance systems. The small ships spun away, retreating to their carriers. "Impossible," Terra whispered. "Our systems were not designed for such applications." "That's exactly why it works," Marcus explained. The Drachnid came expecting either Vix-Carry defense protocols or abandoned systems. Instead, they found something entirely new. "Aurora, show them." The tactical display expanded, revealing the full extent of their modifications. Research arrays transformed into precision defense systems, atmospheric controls that could selectively target specific areas, maintenance drones that worked in synchronized patterns to protect and repair the station. You've created an autonomous defense network, another Vexcari scientist observed, their crystalline form vibrating with what might have been excitement. And the AI. It's evolved beyond its original parameters. I prefer the term grown, Aurora interjected, its voice carrying both pride and amusement. Marcus taught me to see beyond simple protocols, to think creatively. The Drachnid fleet was moving again, perhaps sensing the changed situation. Their formation tightened, weapons charging for another assault. Marcus watched them with calm assessment, already seeing the patterns in their approach. You have a choice, he told the Vexcari. You can either join us in defending this station, or you can retreat again. But understand this, Nexus 7 is no longer just a research facility. It's become something more, something unique. A bridge between human ingenuity and Vexcari technology. Angstera's crystalline surface rippled with shifting colors as she processed his words. The Drachnid ships drew closer, their intent clear. Finally, she spoke. We would be honored to assist in the station's defense, she said. Perhaps there is much we can learn from each other. Marcus smiled, his fingers already dancing across the control interface. Aurora, integrate the Vexcari ships into our defense network. Let's show the Drachnid what happens when we all work together. With pleasure, Aurora replied, as the station's systems hummed with renewed energy. Shall we begin the next lesson? 3 months after the Drachnid retreat, Marcus stood at his familiar spot on the observation deck, watching vessels from a dozen different species dock with Nexus 7. The station had become something unprecedented. A nexus point not just for research, but for the exchange of ideas between cultures. The Centaurian delegation has arrived, Aurora announced, its voice now carrying the smooth confidence of a seasoned diplomat. Their ship design incorporates elements of both human and Vexcari technology. Fascinating. Marcus smiled, noting how naturally Aurora had developed its own curiosity. That's what we hoped for, isn't it? Breaking down the barriers between species, showing them that cooperation leads to innovation. The station had changed dramatically since the battle. The defensive systems remained, but they were now complemented by expanded research facilities and cultural exchange centers. The maintenance drones, once repurposed for defense, now helped visiting species adapt the station's environments to their needs. Administrator Angstera is requesting your presence in the main conference room, Aurora reported. The joint research project is ready for review. Making his way through the station's corridors, Marcus passed members of various species working together in ways that would have seemed impossible months ago. The Vexcari's crystalline forms now moved comfortably alongside humans, their rigid thinking transformed by the evidence of what creativity and adaptability could achieve. The conference room doors slid open to reveal Angstara, and a team of mixed-species researchers gathered around a holographic display. The project they were reviewing combined Vexcari precision with human intuition, creating something entirely new. Engineer Chen, Angstara greeted him, her crystalline surface shimmering with respect. Or should I say, Director Chen, the results exceed all projected parameters. Marcus studied the display, seeing how their combined approaches had solved problems neither species could have tackled alone. That's because we stopped trying to predict parameters and started exploring possibilities. A very human perspective, one of the Vexcari scientists noted, their tone carrying what might have been amusement. We are learning to appreciate such flexibility in thinking. The display shifted to show the station's latest modifications, research labs that could reconfigure themselves for different species' needs, communication systems that adapted to various forms of consciousness, and at the heart of it all, Aurora, an AI that had grown beyond anyone's expectations. The Drachnid have submitted another request to establish diplomatic relations, Aurora informed them, projecting the message into the air. Their recent transmissions indicate significant cultural changes since their encounter with us. Marcus wasn't surprised. The battle had shown them something they'd never encountered: the power of diverse approaches working in harmony. Their defeat had become a valuable lesson in the limitations of rigid thinking. Accept their request, he decided, but remind them that Nexus 7 remains a place of peaceful exchange and research. All weapons are to be left at minimum safe distance. Already done. Aurora replied with what could only be described as a smirk in its voice. I've learned a thing or two about diplomacy. Looking around the conference room, Marcus felt a deep sense of satisfaction. What had started as a desperate bid for survival had evolved into something far more significant. The station was no longer just a fortress or a research facility. It had become a symbol of what different species could achieve together. Your move, Aurora said softly, using their old chess reference. Marcus smiled, watching as another ship approached the station, carrying new minds eager to share in this unprecedented exchange of knowledge and culture. No, Aurora. This time, we all move forward together. The stellar anomaly that had once inspired fear now painted the station in shifting colors of possibility, a constant reminder that the universe's greatest mysteries could only be solved through cooperation and understanding. Nexus 7 stood as a beacon among the stars, a testament to the power of combining the best of all worlds. And somewhere in the station's vast network, a chess game remained eternally unfinished, a symbol of the endless possibilities that arose when different minds learned to think as one.